See this right here? I had to cover this up. I had something coming up in here and the quail ate the top off of it. I'm hoping it's the key lime seeds. I read that you get, and good, they're not dead. You can just barely see them. See that green? The dumb birds, let's just say the quail, we'll blame them because they're the ones that do it. They actually ate the leaves off of them, but they're not dead. So by covering them up, they'll eat anything that's even if it's not something they would normally like, they'll eat it if it's a fresh shoot coming out of the ground. You can see these eggplants are just thriving. These are the rotundae eggplants. They're really interesting, and they're actually a true eggplant. It's not like a GMO or anything. But they're round and they get red with green stripes. Let me see if I can find one. I think there's one setting on. And here, they're not as prolific as the, you hear that blackbird back there? See, back there, there's one setting on. I probably need to spend more time paintbrushing the blooms, helping them pollinate, right? It's about due to do that. I picked most of the eggplant off of these two that were the ones that I overwintered because a friend of mine sent me a picture. The rats had eaten one of her eggplants, like half of it. Rats are interesting creatures. They'll eat part of something and leave it and come back like they're trying not to be noticed or something. But there were still a few small ones that I didn't pick on here. So these blooms, these are the ones that I started this year here. They're already blooming. So I'm expecting to get a lot of eggplant this year. And I specifically planted a lot of eggplant only because eggplant really thrives in the heat. And last year we had a really hot summer and that seems to be the trend. So you got to plant what grows. In other words, you're just wasting your money, your water. And we do have bubblers, but I give these guys a little bit of water mid-morning before it gets too hot, just to get them through the day. Because you have to water like really, really early in the morning with bubblers or really late at night. Because if you're going to add water during the day, you got to make sure it's before it gets really hot. Let's see. If you can see, there's one that I didn't pick there. There we go. I'm not even getting it in the picture. There you go. You can see it now, right? And there was a couple more small ones that were sitting on over here that I didn't get, I think. Oh yeah, back there, there's one. But if you take a paintbrush and you just do all the blooms, like now I'm going to wait. Here's one that's making, right? You see that in there? Am I getting it? It's so hard to see out here with the light. Here we go, right there. There's one that's making. But yeah, I'll get out here. You want to wait until your plants aren't wet to pollinate with a brush because the water makes the pollen sticky and it just won't work that way. So timing is important, but they definitely need a little more water. But these are tolerant. They'd probably make it. I used to have those growing right where that grow room is. They were hanging. Let's see here. I got a few comments. Hey, Ron, welcome back. Thank you. I'm doing this video for you because I know you like the garden. And I'm trying to see. Okay, I got to get in the shade. I just can't see my phone. It's so bright here. Let's come over here. Here we go, in the shade of the pistachio. Kieran, hello, welcome. Echoes of, I don't know how to say that, Mahadev. Hi, we are in the United States of America in the desert of Southern Nevada, and it is mid-morning here. Thank you, welcome to the channel. And I am out getting a little water on our garden. Ron, it's nice of you to join us back again. I thought you might, because you mentioned really liking our garden. You can see my carrots are going to seed. So these ones I'm just letting make mature seeds because that'll be my seed supply, right? And I'll probably wait until closer to fall. It's still hot here until mid-October, so maybe in September I'll plant more carrot seeds again, get them a start. This year, I think what happened with these carrots, I've actually gotten reasonably big carrots to grow here before, but what happened is the rabbits were sneaking in our yard and they ate all the foliage off, which I think affected the development of the carrots. and then it just got warm all of a sudden. So then the green grew back, but the carrot itself didn't have enough time. So they're probably like 3-inch carrots. And so what I've been doing is just juicing them because it makes great green juice material. And I just add a little fruit to it. And the carrot tops are actually more nutritious than the carrots. And that is true of a lot of root vegetables. So here we have our lang jujubes. We replaced our, thanks Ron, we replaced our apricot tree that got ruined by the borers and the powdery mildew with jujubes. And oh my gosh, this looks like, these aren't supposed to fruit for 3 years, but it looks like it might actually flower. So that'll be interesting. And I don't need to give these too much water. These are definitely desert trees. It's actually been hard. It's been hard figuring out the bubblers for these. We put them in containers because my dentist warned us that these things will send roots, and you'll have a jujube come up over there because there's a bubbler, right? So we put them in containers, so that's going to be interesting. And we recess the containers because if you don't recess the containers, the plant roots will get too hot. Over here we have pumpkins, and you can see we have a pumpkin setting on, and I put a bag on it. I'll probably have to adjust that to a bigger bag, but I had a bag in my pocket and I just covered it. And so we have a lot of male blooms here. And last year I had really good luck with the pumpkins. I got 6 pumpkins that were a little bigger than pie-sized pumpkins. And so today, or this year, I should say, I planted 3 pumpkins in this spot. And I know you have to do crop rotation, but man, it's so tough because with the extremity of our temperatures, there's certain things will grow in certain areas of your yard. So I'm just going to have to play that out. See how it works. Over here I have a mixture of sunflowers, and I'm trying something called sweetness melon. And those things are just getting started. Those things won't even germinate until it's a consistent 70 degrees. And I tried starting them in the grow room, and it didn't happen. Some things will grow in that grow room, other things won't. For a while we had some pretty high humidity going in there, which was not actually good to have in that space because we had a little mold started, and then we had a fungus gnat explosion, and so then we got the air conditioner in there, and we actually did have a few things die because the heat got out of control before we had the air conditioner set up. So now we have the air conditioner going in there. It's definitely a learning experience. I've never even had a greenhouse before. I think a greenhouse would be easier to manage, but you probably wouldn't be able to control the temperature as well, right? So we're figuring it out as we go. It's a learning experience for sure. And that's, oh, there's a hummingbird. Hi, baby. See if I can you see him? He's right in there. Hi, baby. He's looking for flowers. He's not gonna find, oh, maybe he wants some water. Yeah, I think he's thirsty because I just got that tree. Yep, we just got that tree wet. Now he's gonna do the flowers. See if I can get him. They move so fast. Isn't he beautiful? I love hummingbirds. They're my favorite. They're low maintenance. We do have a feeder, but they basically take care of themselves and they don't eat anything, so it's wonderful. That little guy is so cute. And it's not, I'm trying to figure out if it's a female or a male. The males are really colorful. Hi, baby. Hi, what you doing? They're really friendly. If you get to know them, they'll actually come and they'll watch what you're doing. Like the first they only last 3 or 4 years, unfortunately. They don't live very long. Let me see if I can blow him up. He's sitting on one of the, see if I can find him. Right in here someplace. There he is, right in the middle. He's sitting on one of the aloes. The aloes actually bloom and make flowers too. But the first year that we were here, the hummingbirds were so friendly. It was a male and a female, and they just would come sit on a tree branch and watch my husband working because we were working on a project. Well, go have fun, little guy. Feed yourself, right? Over here we have grapes that we've added. We had roses and paddle cactus here, but unfortunately the roses got powdery mildew and it jumped to our apricot tree. So not only did we have borers, I thought we were going to get one less crop of apricots because the tree knew it was dying, and the whole thing bloomed out, and it was covered with baby apricots, and I thought we would get one less crop, but then the powdery mildew jumped from the roses. You can see how my gardening year's gone so far, right? And the powdery mildew actually kind of ruined the apricot, so I'm like, well, let's just take those things out. Let's see if I can get a good picture. Oh, it's so hard for me to see here. Can you see that? Grapes in here. And most of these have taken, and they're doing well. You're very interested in my culture. This isn't the dating site. I do have a profile picture on my channel you can check out, but I'm a happily married woman. My culture is a married Christian. How's that? Does that help you? This is a grape here, and these are Malbec grapes. And I picked Malbec grapes specifically because it has veritol content. And we'll see if I can grow them. There's actually a winery in Pahrump. I don't know if I'm even getting a good picture of the foliage here. It's so hard for me to see my phone. But 5 of these are doing well. And the shelters are on them because they're not acclimated. And we'll see how that goes. One of them, I made the mistake of taking the cover off just to see if I could put a floating row cover shelter on it. And it killed it. So we're going to leave these shelters on until they dissolve, right? For this growing season. We'll let them leaf out in the natural sun once they're acclimated next year, but well, you're welcome to watch the channel. It's kind of hard to be friends with somebody that you don't know. We're friends with Ron. He's been in on our channel pretty early, since the beginning, I would say. But you know, it's kind of hard to make friends on social media, right? Because you don't really know somebody on social media. But welcome to the channel. This is a little bird of paradise here. Those things don't actually need water. This like came from that tree over there, and I almost killed this. We'll call it a tree. It's a bush, I guess, but the bird of paradise, yellow bird of paradise, actually almost killed this last year because I had a bubbler on it. And when it got hot, we were trying to figure out how much water we needed for our fruit trees, and it got too much water. Those things will actually grow in the desert with no bubbler. There's a lot of them. So it blew a seed over and started up in the middle of the yard, no bubbler. This is our kumquat. I'm so excited because I love kumquats. And you can see it's got lots of blooms. And this tree doesn't need a lot of extra water, but most of our trees, when they are fruiting, I give them extra water just while they're setting on the plant because they're making new plant material, right? Got a little maze here. This is our fire pit we used during the wintertime. That was a gift from one of my sister-in-laws, and it was pretty awesome during the winter, but we're not using it in the heat of the summer. Not in the heat of the summer. But that was fun. We definitely had some nice evenings out here. Let's come over here. And this year, I'm trying to use my space as much. I'm really inspired by this lady, Heidi, on the Rain Country channel. Sorry, I'm a little congested. I'm not sick, I'm just not awake yet. Rolling out of bed and getting your day going because it's hot fast is not for the weak-minded. But I'm trying to take advantage of my grow space. And this lady, Heidi, on the Rain Country channel has a small yard also. Now, granted, she lives in Rain Country. We don't. But I added little satellite beds around the wall. And here we have sunflowers and watermelon. They're companion plants. And then I got some wildflower seed mix from Tractor Supply, which ended up being pretty cool because it actually is desert appropriate. Now, I don't know what this is. Oh, it's got a flower now, so I'm gonna be able to research that and find out. But this is purslane. It's edible and it makes yellow flowers. And we have poppies here. I recognize those. And basil. And I'm so thrilled about the basil because the first thing the quail did this summer is I ate all my basil. I was pretty mad about that because I love basil, and that was another reason why I quit feeding them. And I apologize for the little congestion in the throat this morning. I can't help it. This here, our grapefruit tree dropped a fruit a couple years ago, actually 3 years ago, and something started growing underneath it, and it's a seedling. I don't know if it's going to be a true grapefruit or rootstock or what we're going to get, but I'm like, wow, this was meant to grow in my yard. So I moved it over here and gave it a bubbler. We'll see what happens with that. Our pistachio. I kind of wish she wouldn't have planted a pistachio. It is very pretty to look at, though. Sometimes you have to have things that are just pretty to look at. But we're never going to get enough pistachios to really make it worth our while, right? And it's just one more thing to try to figure out how to grow. You can see the fig tree. This fig tree was a winning choice for the desert for sure. And that really doesn't need any extra water at all. Fire bells. These things will just grow and grow and get tall, so you got to prune them a lot. But I love this fig tree. My husband just picked some figs for me, which was super nice of him. Got to pick them before the birds do. And it does have a net, but that hasn't stopped them from trying, which is a whole other issue, because we don't want to kill any birds in the net. This is a delicious apple tree that the birds or rats or whatever ate the fruit off of, which made me so mad. I'm kind of interested in trying to graft some of the Anna apple tree onto this delicious apple tree, because that fruit's really early and makes a super good apple. And for some reason, it's easier to get your apples off your tree if they fruit earlier. You know, maybe it has to do with the variety of birds and critters that show up in your yard. Maybe it's got fruit on it before they realize that there's fruit anywhere, right? Anyway, you have better luck with an apple that sets on before it gets hot, because once it gets hot, it's really hard on apple trees with fruit. And this calendula just isn't probably going to do anything, but oh well. I took some paddle cactus paddles off. I got to throw them away because I had to get to the fruit, and these things are covered with thorns. Back here, this is the last time I'm going to try planting zucchini. Zucchini just doesn't do anything here. This is another satellite bed that I added. I tried growing comfrey here last year. I'll have to think about maybe, I don't know, maybe a tomato would go there, right? You have to move your crops around. You can't plant the same thing in the same place every single year, because they're more likely to end up with disease. And this lemon is doing wonderful this year, and I think it's because I'm not working and I'm home and I'm able to take care of it. But it's looking like we're going to get some lemons, quite a few. I counted at least 24 that I could see. That one there. But this has to have more water. This is a Meyer lemon. It's actually a tropical tree, so it is tolerant of our heat. And this can actually bloom and set fruit on year-round, as long as it's getting water, right? The water's the whole key to this thing, getting it right. If you water it too much, you could kill it. Last year, my husband was trying to take care of this for me while I was working, and at first he wasn't watering it enough with the bubblers, and then he added too much water, and suddenly the tree was like really yellow, and so I'm like, okay, just cut back on the watering, and I pruned the tree a bit. This year I seem to have the right ratio, but again, this has been my project, and it's nutted because, I don't know, one year we had something eat all the blooms off of this, but it's making lots of lemons, so I'm so thankful. This is definitely worth my time. I think the little sugar babies, the finches, that like to eat the figs and whatever else they can get, like eating baby lemons too. So yesterday, one of them landed on one of these bushes that are sticking out from the net, and I was like, oh, thank God you didn't get stuck in the net, because we had to get one of those out of the fig tree yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? I don't know. But if you net your trees, definitely check them at least twice a day for any birds that could have possibly gotten in them, because one, they could hang themselves if they get their head stuck in there, or they could dry out from the heat of the sun, and we don't want to hurt birds. We don't want them eating our yard, but we don't want to hurt them either, right? We love birds. Birds are just cool, happy little guys. More on this side. I'm so happy with this lemon tree. And we love lemons. We make a juice every day, and we put a lemon in it. And if you have your own lemons that you know don't have any pesticides on them, you can grate the rind of the lemon and dehydrate it and save that for the zest for cooking, right? But I don't do that with store-bought lemons just because I don't know what all they've sprayed on those store-bought lemons. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever be able to grow enough food here to do more than just make our meals more interesting, right? But I try to grow as much as I can because I'm not a fan of pesticides, and I'm definitely not a fan of that Bill Gates appeal coating, which apparently has been approved to go on organic produce, even though it's got some pretty horrible things in it and you can't wash it off. That's my beef with Bill Gates' appeal product. And I don't know if everything's labeled when they've sprayed it on it. So I do ozone our produce this time of the year. It has to be at least 70 degrees to ozone. Ozone doesn't work in colder temperatures. And you have to, you can't do it in your house. I mean, if you were going to do it in your house and leave your house and there's nothing alive in your house, it would be okay. Because that would actually improve your air quality. But you can't breathe ozone. So you don't want your dog breathing it. And you don't want to breathe it. So that's important to know. Well, I think oh wait, I'll show you one more thing here that I've got going that I'm really happy with. These grafts, 2 of these grafts that I did are still alive. So I'm very hopeful that we're going to succeed with grafting. I got a late start. I should have done it sooner. You need to do it when it's cooler weather, right? So February, March time frame. So we're not going to take this tree out. At first I was like, well, if my grafts don't work, we're just going to take this out. And in light of how water is getting here, I wasn't going to add another tree, even though I could. I would just, put a squash there or something, which actually I did that anyway. Might as well take advantage of the water, right? And I have it covered so the quail don't eat it. And I planted that in some compost from our electric composter. Give it a little nourishment, a little more soil that will absorb water. And I'm kind of torn. Like, this is the rootstock greenery, so I don't want that to get too crazy. But I don't want to kill the rootstock either, so I probably should let some of it go. I don't know. Got to think about that a little bit. So you can see most of these attempts of grafting, they're definitely dead. But the contrast here, these are green. And I really feel like this is trying to send a leaf right here. I think there's going to be a leaf there, right on that little nub. I hope so. I'll definitely be saying thank you for that one if that works. All right, let's keep moving here. This is our grapefruit that normally puts off a lot of grapefruit, but one of the critters, I don't know if it was a rat, a quail, or what, ate most of them, but there are 2 on here that survived. They didn't get, which is wonderful. This makes the best. Let's see if I can find them in here and all this foliage. I mean, it could have even been a rabbit for all I know. I saw 2 in here. Okay, here's one. There's one grapefruit setting on. And where's the other one? It's like hide and seek. All right, well, there's another one in here I saw just the other day, and I was so thrilled that we'll at least get 2. But I tell you, the wildlife here was really hard on us this year. When you work this hard to grow trees and you have something just take all of your fruit, it's really frustrating. Really frustrating. Plus, you spend money on the water too, right? And I will say that they send you these charts out telling you how much water you use, and I just want to say that we don't use any more water than in the average household. And I don't know if that's just because it's me and my husband, like we don't have any kids in our house, but we're actually very water efficient. We don't have a pool. A pool here would be total hell because all this stuff up here, all these tree leaves would be dumped in it. 4 times a year I'm cleaning that up in our yard. But we get some shade, so I won't complain too much about that. See, my clary sage is going to seed, going to flower. And clary sage is a really cool plant. I like to infuse it in oils. I am infusing it in oil right now. It takes time. So the next time I make a batch of shampoo, I will put that, this marshmallow I'm infusing in another oil for my shampoo that I make. I'm actually going to try another recipe. Here's our quinoa. This actually is so pretty. You could just use that for landscaping. But I had to put these little white floating row cover tunnels around them because last year the quail ate most of them, right? I only had like quinoa from one plant because the quail ate them all. I kind of have it out for the quail. They're so cute, but man, they just really haven't been very good friends to our garden. This is fennel. And here, there's a whole bunch of asparagus that I planted this year and a squash that I stuck in here. I forgot that I put that squash in there, but the squash seems to like this pot. So normally those aren't really companions, but I didn't really expect to get so much foliage from the asparagus, which is actually extremely encouraging. Like these little guys here, before I go in, I'll pick these off and eat them because these are still tender, right? As well as this is done, it tells me eventually we're going to have a lot of asparagus, so it's worth waiting for. We have a horseradish, and I stuck a squash in there too. Some celery, and I kind of think that thing that back there on the back side of the celery might actually be another horseradish plant, which would be cool. I had 5, and the critters dug them up and ate most of them, but it looks like they may have missed one. I really think that's a horseradish. I hope it is. And medicinal herbs. And back here is our tomatoes. We've been getting really nice tomatoes off this tomato plant. In fact, probably as soon as I'm done watering this, I'll take you inside and show you the ones I picked because they're huge. And I put nets on them because a rat tried to eat one, right? He worked this hard to grow stuff. You don't want to give it to the critters. Let's see if if there's still any large ones on here. I think I picked all the big ones. No, that's a little one. This one's almost ripe, and it's actually pretty good size, but I have a bigger one. So I'm actually going to pick this one today because I'm not giving that rat a chance. I'm sure they could eat through these things. These are just a discouragement, but look at how big that fills up my whole hand. So I guess I don't have to take you inside after all. We had a volunteer cherry tomato from last year. And back here, I planted this blackberry isn't going to make it, but I planted some tomatillo seeds and some basil seed. My initial tomatillo and basil got eaten by the quail, so we still have time. Got a long summer here. Plenty of time for stuff to grow. So that's the good news. Not for fruit trees. Most of the time you only get one set of blooms on your fruit trees. But with things like tomatoes, you got a pretty long season, especially if you have the right location. This is the first time that I've actually grown large tomatoes here in the desert. So this is the most shadiest part of our yard, other than some of those little solo beds that I put in. And it's specifically the Thornton tomato species of tomatoes. And I have Baker Creek Seed Company to thank for that. They actually sent me some free seeds 2 years ago. Last year I planted a Thornton tomato and actually got tomatoes that survived that whole week of 120 we had. And so this year I planted 5 of these, and I gave some to friends. One of my young friends that's succeeded with all the plants that I gave her is getting a lot of tomatoes right now as well. We have cucumbers and sunflowers over here. There aren't too many garden plants that you can plant with sunflowers, but melons and cucumbers are actually compatible. Sunflowers are one of those species that put something off in their roots that inhibits the growth of most other plants, but they work well with watermelons, cucumbers, and sweetness melons. And this is our Old Faithful and an apple tree, one of the first fruit trees that we planted that every year gives us a lot of apples, and I am so thankful for this. Back here you can see we have some pomegranates. This is getting long, so I'm going to end it soon. Actually, I'll just finish this tour real fast. We have a bunch of pomegranates we're getting. Hopefully they don't split. We bagged them to protect them from the critters and the leaf-footed beetles. It's always something. But look, we're going to hopefully get quite a few pomegranates this year if nothing happens to them. You know, heat that splits them, that kind of thing. We'll see. We'll see. Let's hope. The pomegranate is pretty tolerant. This is the almond tree that the quail ate most of the almonds off of. You can see there's a few survivors in here. So this has been horribly frustrating as well. And what I'm thinking I would really like to do with this tree is I would actually like to buy some plum budwood and maybe even some apricot bloodwood. Now that I figured out grafting, I have 2 that succeeded over here on this rootstock. And I would kind of like to turn this into a different kind of tree. I kind of feel like if you're going to grow nuts, you probably need to have more than one nut tree. I don't feel like I'm ever going to get enough off of this. We've probably had this going 5 or 6 years. We'll see. I mean, I could leave some almonds on there too, right? It's kind of a fun concept. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this video now. It's appreciate those of y'all that have joined in. Ron, thank you so much for joining the channel today. You were here twice with us, and I hope you have a blessed day. Thanks for watching.